With a smile on her face, she seems to have it all together. While the rest of us are like Dwayne in the bathtub. Who's Dwayne? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Dwayne.
Dwayne.
Dwayne the bathtub, I'm drowning. FamilyDoctor.org shares that people who are emotionally healthy are in control of their thoughts, feelings, and their behaviors, that they are able to cope with life's challenges, that they are able to bounce back from setbacks, and they have good relationships with others. Does this describe you? When was the last time that you looked yourself square in the eyes and asked, how are you doing? And I can hear some of you now saying, I'm just fine, I'm good, all is well. But wait, don't be so quick to respond, because with so much going on in our lives, sometimes we are unbelievably unaware of how we really and truly feel. I want you to seriously consider if you're happy, genuinely and truly happy with your current situation, however it is that you define your situation. Are you living your best life, or are you frustrated that things aren't going your way? Do you feel stuck in your current state, or are you what I call sad, which is stressed, anxious, and depressed? Whether we're just happy, fine, living our best life, or frustrated, stuck, or sad, our emotions are affected, and our affected emotions, whether positive or negative, can add to, take away from, or in some way impact our daily living. From the time we awake in the morning until the time we rest our eyes again, we interact with others. People are everywhere, and for some of us that's a good thing, but for others of us, maybe not so much. With all of this interaction, our emotions get a pretty good workout. Wouldn't you agree? According to PositivePsychology.org, our positive emotions in some ways counter or crosses over our negative ones, and we experience, when we experience a negative emotion, it's in our best interest to find 3 positive ones that's going to counter or reverse the potential impact. Keep in mind, too, that negative emotions can also be positive. So what you talking about, Althea? Well, negative emotions serve an extremely important purpose for us. They are a warning sign or a signal that something is wrong, that we need to address something. And that, my friend, is a good thing. It's almost like seeing your dashboard indicators in your vehicle. And we know that that's the last thing you really want to see, but aren't you grateful for its functionality? So, where are the 2 places that we spend most of our time? At home and at work. And whether you enjoy interacting with the people here, you're stuck with them until you decide to do something different. Yes. You can either run away without trying to make the situation better, or as an adult, you can figure out what you can do different to change the environment. And by changing the environment, I mean changing you. Because managing your life that's filled with emotions is so vitally important to your survival. My purpose here today is to convince you to examine and address your emotional health, and then persuade you to maintain healthy emotions in order to successfully balance your work and life. Imagine this were you. Yours is the only household income since your spouse has been on disability after a work-related injury more than 2 years ago. You are responsible for all of the household expenses, a car note, auto insurance, and the bill collectors are ringing your phone several times during the week. Or your coworker is late for the 3rd time this week, leaving you to cover both of your jobs, and you have several things of your own that you need to take care of before you can leave early. These scenarios, or others like them, may make people want to run away, not only from home, but also from work, in order to escape the pressure. Here's your invitation to examine your emotional health. Dr. Daniel Kennelman shares that there's a science behind emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. He talks about an automatic or an autopilot system where snap decisions and impulsive reactions are commonplace. He also talks about an intentional system. In contrast, this describes taking deliberate effort in our thinking patterns. So which pattern do you most readily run to? What was the last hurtful challenge that you faced? In the first scenario, seeing your spouse may make you resentful or even angry. You may also be tempted to ignore the pesky bill collectors. Virginia Satter is a therapist that did a lot of work in family dynamics, and she reminds me that life is not the way it's supposed to be, it's the way it is, but how we cope with it is what makes the difference. So here are a few considerations to help you cope with life's challenges. Don't pretend that the problem doesn't exist, and don't waste precious time constantly complaining about the problem, because pretending and complaining does not create change or progress. But do be grateful for what you have, because there are several who would love to be in your shoes, and do accept that we all have challenges and failures in life. And like positive and negative emotions, we should expect that these are going to happen. Make every effort to keep your problems in perspective and bounce back from challenges. I talked earlier about our inevitability of interacting with people, some of whom are dispensable because they bring stress and negativity to life, while others make life worth living because they add joy and positivity. In either case, maintaining healthy relationships is a sign of good emotional health. In the second scenario, what would you do if this was your coworker? Is it justifiable to be in your feelings because they're late when you're looking to leave early? Leaving late, coming early, or leaving early or coming late or being absent, all of these things affect the workplace on some level. And there are certainly times that management should intervene when that happens, but let management be the one to intervene. You instead should direct your focus on maintaining healthy relationships with your coworkers, with management, as well as with your family and your friends. Here's another invitation, this time to address your emotional health. Self-assessments, while not a diagnosis, can be helpful as a starting point, providing insight and awareness to our well-being. That is, do we feel good and are we functioning well? Self-assessment and books are a good tool to help determine our ability to cope with work-life challenges. Neil Whitting is a popular speaker, teacher, consultant, and author in many subjects, including personal development, and he created a 45-question assessment that revealed my work-life balance is actually borderline. So I've provided the resource there for you. Would be interested to see how you scored on that as well. I also included links that offer numerous free assessments that are helpful in determining if you're experiencing any symptoms that can be brought on by trying to balance work and life. Sometimes we are so close to the trees that we cannot see the forest. So therapy and support groups can help us to restore work-life balance by helping us to look at our situations in both a macro and a micro level, can help us to formulate plans to prioritize our time, can also encourage us to make small modifications that will give us more energy and a more positive outlook on life. Your therapist may also suggest that medication may be helpful in helping you to cope. A good place for all of us to start is with our employee assistance programs, and reaching out to your human resources department for contact information is a good idea, and not to forget that your medical insurance carrier is also a good resource. Now that we've talked about examining and addressing your emotional health, here are some suggestions for helping you to maintain it. Figure out what's important, and that diagram says it all. We think that a lot is important, but at the end of the day, it's really a small amount of things that are. We change, life changes, circumstances changes, and as such, so should our life and our career goals. They should remain fluid. We need to learn how to respectfully say no and not feel guilty or obligated. And there's a way that you can do that without being mean-spirited. We should address our preventative health. Every year, our doctor wants to see us. Twice a year, our dentist wants to see us, and we should create an established time for when we should check out our mental health and our emotional health as well. Regular exercise and getting plenty of sleep and eating healthy are all things that you need to determine what works best for you. The thing on the list that means the most to me is finding your spiritual connection and staying plugged in, because life truly is a roller coaster. Successfully balancing work and life means that you are satisfied and happy with your employment, that you're making healthy decisions, that you're managing your time effectively, that you're practicing self-awareness, and that you are creating harmony between all of the different aspects of your life. It is my hope that this presentation has given you some food for thought. What changes are you going to make to your work-life balance, but more importantly, to your emotional health? Because without that, there would be no work-life balance. If you examine, address, and then eventually maintain your healthy emotions, then you can balance work and life like a boss.